Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Gitsky. Well, did you feel the earthquake? A little over an hour ago, a 5.8 magnitude earthquake struck Inyo County, shaking the Bakersfield area. According to the U.S. Geological Survey website, that quake hit southeast of Lone Pine. That quake was first reported as a 6.1, but has been downgraded to a 5.8. We have received reports across Bakersfield and Kern County of the shaking. Now, multiple aftershocks hit near Lone Pine within 20 minutes of that initial shake. Well, joining us now via Zoom, we have Emily Fisher, a local geologist. Emily, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you talk to us about this earthquake that occurred?
Yeah, my pleasure. So the earthquake that just happened just south of Lone Pine is in the Eastern California shear zone. So I know everyone's probably heard of the San Andreas fault. It gets a lot more of the media attention. A lot of the motion from that is just running sort of parallel and jumping over to the eastern side of the Sierras. And the one that we had today and the one that we had July of last year are both in that same sort of area.
Now, Emily, when an earthquake strikes, what are the best things to do to keep yourself safe?
Yeah, and because we don't get that much warning for earthquakes, there's not a whole lot you can do the same way for other things. So drop, cover, hold. And we do that because it's not as much the earthquake itself that's going to cause damage as the things that might be falling on you or around you. So the first thing to do, if you can get underneath a table, that's the best thing to do because you're worried about breaking glass, things that are falling, that sort of thing.
Now, for us here in Kern County, we necessarily didn't feel those aftershocks, but over in Inyo County, they did. Is that typical for multiple aftershocks to occur after an earthquake?
Yeah, it's actually really common that once you go through that much shaking on one fault plane, because that's exactly what's happening, is you have the earth itself is breaking and sliding. And that earth moving on a fault plane is what causes earthquakes. So once you've kind of shaken up one spot, it's really common for other faults nearby or like the same fault, just further places along it, to cause lots of shaking in the same area. We actually have earthquakes happening every day, all the time, all over the place, but they're too small for us to feel. But after ones that are big enough that, we feel it all the way on the other side of the Sierras, there's lots and lots of aftershocks. So the one from last year, July 4th, there were over 100,000 earthquakes that happened for months after that. So it's actually a very common part of the process, but we don't notice it unless we're looking on seismometers and that sort of thing.
So when we feel something like this, obviously kind of raises a little bit of red flag and concern, considering, it's close to a 6 magnitude. That's a pretty big earthquake.
Yeah, it's a significant size. And a lot of times we're going to have these. They don't come with a whole lot of warning right before. This time, I think some of us got the earthquake warning system that's new to California that actually worked, that you get an alert on your phone that an earthquake is coming, and that's happening. The earthquake already happened, was sensed by the seismometers, the network, and that text is actually traveling to you faster than the earthquake's rolling waves that go across the surface of the earth. So they're not actually predicting it, they're just telling you. And the further away you are from the earthquake, the more time that you get before the waves come in and you can feel them.
Now, Emily, there was an earthquake there just about 2 days ago. Can you talk to us about, is it very common for an earthquake to hit just within a couple of days?
Yeah, it is. A lot of times when you have motion on that fault, you might have, just if you've ever taken a stick, and you break it, it'll have a few cracks before you get the bigger motion when the whole thing goes. Like I was saying, we have these earthquakes happening all over the place all the time. Sometimes you'll get just a little bit of settling as they move, but it's actually really common to get a few kind of decent sized earthquakes, maybe 2 or 3 magnitude, before kind of leading up to that bigger break when we have something more significant, like 5s and 6s and that sort of thing. The problem is that sometimes you just get those earthquakes happening in the background all the time. And sometimes they're kind of leading up to something a little bit bigger. And right now, seismology and geology in general can't really predict whether they're a foreshock or just earthquakes on their own. The only definition for a foreshock or an aftershock is like whether an earthquake comes before or after it.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, Emily, for joining us this afternoon and at least informing us a little bit about what we can expect with this earthquake that just happened.
Cool. My pleasure for being on. Thank you.
Now to the latest on the coronavirus here in Kern County. Kern Public Health reports 59 new cases along with 3 deaths. That brings the county's total to over 4,000 positive cases. Our death toll now stands at 63. Right now, over 1,000 people with the virus are isolated at their homes. 70 people are hospitalized. Over 47,000 have tested negative for the virus, and over 600 are still pending. Well, 17's News has confirmed that 31 employees of a local farm company have been infected by the coronavirus. Primex LLC says 12 employees and 19 temporary workers have contracted the virus. Their first case was confirmed on June 10th. Primex is a pistachio processor in Wasco. A company spokesman says they've had protections in place since the stay-at-home order began in March. But the company says none of their workers have been infected until businesses started reopening at the end of May. The company says everyone exposed was sent home immediately. They are also rolling out new requirements at work, including face masks. Well, Dewar's is still open after an employee tested positive for COVID-19, but the ice cream shop says the worker was exposed at home, not on the job, and other employees have tested negative. This happened to a worker at its shop in downtown Bakersfield. Dewar says that worker will not return until finishing that 14-day quarantine period. And the U.S. Postal Service confirmed that 2 employees at its post office in South Bakersfield have tested positive for COVID-19. The employees worked at the office at 3200 Larson Lane, east of Highway 99 and north of Plants Road. Post officials say the safety and well-being of employees is their highest priority, adding they are continuing to follow recommended guidance and strategies from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Meantime, 2 employees at the In-N-Out Burger on Panama Lane have tested positive for COVID-19. According to the restaurant, the employees last worked on June 12th and 13th, adding those who work closely with them have been tested. The restaurant was deep cleaned on June 15th and 16th, according to that spokesperson. Well, Arvin City Council members voted to extend the city's urgency ordinances, which means residents who don't comply with state and city mandates to wear masks can be fined. Though through a virtual discussion, the Arvin City Council agreed they would extend urgency ordinances already in place locally and statewide. And the ordinance passed in recent weeks by the Arvin City Council that requires the use of masks by all employees at any business in the city and requires all businesses to post signs encouraging customers to wear a mask. What this provision does is give city employees the ability to take action on those not obeying the ordinances.
That particular provision or procedure would be either ranging from an infraction to a fine to a misdemeanor.
But the goal here is not to fine people. Mayor Jose Garola instructed the city manager to begin with educating the community. The city of Arvin has seen some of the highest rates of COVID-19 in the county. Recent data by zip code released by the Kern County Public Health Department reports that Arvin, a city with a population of just over 22,000 residents, has 164 cases.
Those numbers are frightening and should certainly, urge action into all those elected officials to do what we did here in Arvin and to have the ability to enforce the governor's order on masks, because we know the science tells us that is an effective way to slow the spread.
The search continues for a man who went missing in the Kern River over Father's Day weekend. The family of David Godinez tells 17 News he disappeared at Cow Flat Creek Saturday. The father of the 3 was last seen by his youngest daughter when he went into the river but never came out. The family is from Los Angeles and says they came to the river for Father's Day because Godinez love nature. Despite searching on the ground and using a helicopter, search and rescue has been unable to find Godinez. Well, BPD is asking for your help in finding a man connected to a theft at Hobby Lobby. This all happened at the California Avenue location back on January 28th. Police say he likely drove off in a black Suzuki. If you have any information on who this man might be, reach out to BPD. Well, the former McFarland basketball coach accused of sexual misconduct case has been postponed. Fernando Pereira is accused of inappropriate sexual misconduct with a player on the JV basketball team. That happened back in 2018. Court documents show that Pereira allegedly told the student that if he didn't do as he was told, he wouldn't make it to varsity. Now he has been set to be due in court this morning for a readiness hearing, but that has been postponed until July 15th. The hearing has been rescheduled several times in the past. And a woman who pleaded insanity after facing charges of killing her own baby was set to be due in court today, but has since been postponed. Elvira Frias is accused of assaulting and killing her baby in 2015. The baby's body was found wrapped in a towel near a Shafter Medical Center with many wounds. A judge previously found her incompetent to stand trial, but a Kern County judge brought back the charges. Her defense attorneys want another evaluation of her mental health. Now, today, she was set to appear in court for a readiness hearing. That has also been postponed until October 2nd.
As we go throughout the day, 91 degrees right now out in Arvin. You can see some clouds there. Wasco, also a little bit of cloud cover, and 89 degrees. And overall, this is the way it's going to be as we go throughout the day. 92 in Bakersfield, a northwest wind at 7, 27% on the humidity. And as we take a look at other areas and our almanac, overnight we're at 77, so still well above the normal of 66. Normal high today, 93, the record of 111 set back in 1925. And you can see here on the satellite and radar, we've got plenty of high clouds streaming through the area, and that'll be the case as we go throughout the day. 94 in Sacramento, 104 in Fresno, 70s down to the south, LA 76, 70 in San Diego, where we really crank up the heat, is out in Phoenix, 110 there, Vegas at 102. Here's a look at the beach forecast, and if you want to escape the heat, the beaches have been great, 68 degrees right now. UV index is high, so sunscreen is a must, not only for the beaches, but also here in the valley, southwest wind out that direction, 5 to 10. Here's a look at the Pacific satellite and radar, and we've got the ridge of high pressure that's in place. No major breakdown in this for the next few days, but by the weekend we get a little relief with a trough developing out of the north. Here's a look at Futurecast, the high clouds, it's being picked up, and then as we head into tonight, that will clear out tomorrow. We should be sunny all around the area. We may even see a few isolated thunderstorms up into the Sierra, but nothing for Kern County, and we have that in our thunderstorm forecast for this afternoon for areas to the north of Kern County. Today, look at the temperatures, 104 in Bakersfield. If we get lucky, we'll be a degree or two shy of that. Wouldn't hurt my feelings, and I'm sure it wouldn't hurt yours. 105 in Delano, 101 in Taft. As we take a look at the mountains in the Kern River Valley, 85 in Frazier Park, 90 in Tehachapi today with 88 in Bear Valley, and then for the Kern River Valley, near 100. Lake Isabella at 199 in Kernville. For the desert, look for some cloud cover here. Ridgecrest also hot today at 109. 102 in Mojave. Your extended forecast right near 104, 105 through Saturday. By Sunday, mid-90s return, 80s for Monday, but then right back up into the 90s by Tuesday. For the mountains, lower 90s through Saturday. You'll also get a break this weekend into early next week. In fact, Monday, Tuesday, we're going to be looking at the 70s, and then overnight we'll be in the 60s for the most part. And then for the Kern River Valley, plenty of sunshine heading into tomorrow. Deal with a little cloud cover today. We'll be right near 100 through Saturday. And then look at that. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, we are going to be looking at the 80s. That's look at your forecast. Nicole, back over to you.
Well, fire season is underway across the nation. In Arizona, firefighters are trying to put out a large fire that stretches over 65,000 acres. Now, that's the Bighorn Fire in Tucson. And as of now, that blaze is only 33% contained. Lightning sparked the blaze in the Coronado National Forest earlier this month. The fire has led to evacuation orders for several communities. No word on how many homes have been impacted. Now to a fire burning here in California. Local firefighters are assisting with the Hunter Fire in Monterey County. County fires say a strike team with helping with a fire in Tulare when they were reassigned to the Hunter Fire, which is burning just south of the town of Lockwood. At last check, that fire has burned 195 acres and is 55% contained. The cause of that fire is under investigation. Well, closer to home, the Red Cross says Kern has seen so many fires this month, they want to train more local volunteers. Red Cross says having enough local volunteers will help them respond faster to wildfires. Red Cross says they especially want people from the Kern River Valley, Fraser Park, and Tehachapi. You can learn more during a virtual volunteer fair this Thursday. You can sign up on the Red Cross website. We have a link on our website, kget.com. Well, with wildfire season underway, there are some things you need to keep in mind. When there's fire, there's smoke. So when there's an active fire, be sure to take care of your lungs. Wildfire smoke contains particulate matter, which can trigger asthma attacks and aggravate chronic bronchitis. The smoke can also increase the risk of heart attack and stroke. Taking care of your lungs is especially important during the COVID-19 outbreak. If you're exposed to dirty, polluted air, move inside as soon as possible. If you're already indoors, keep your doors and windows closed. Well, here at home, should officers be on school campuses? That's the question State Superintendent Tony Thurmond discussed regarding school safety and the impacts of police on campuses. Thurmond says that reports have shown police on campuses have led to more suspensions and arrests, especially with Black students. Schools are re-examining their relationships with local law enforcement in the wake of the unrest across our nation. Thurmond says they will be launching implicit bias training along with modulars to faculty across California. Now, next Tuesday, Thurmond will hold another discussion talking about policing on campus. Well, CSU Bakersfield is adding 2 Kern County leaders to their African American Advisory Council. President Lynette Zalesny announced the addition of CSUB alumnus Traco Matthews and Katie Russell, who recently was appointed as the first African American woman to lead the Panama Buena Vista School District. Those on the board will offer guidance as CSUB pursues its mission to make higher education accessible, equitable, and welcoming for all students. Now, according to CSUB, the objective of this council is to ensure the school remains focused on being a welcoming environment for all the students. Well, local families struggling to put food on the table received some help today. The mission at Kern County has been handing out protein boxes full of meat and cheese every Wednesday this month. The nonprofit says each box has enough to last a whole week for a family of 6. Now, that food is from the USDA's Farm to Families program. And the mission's Farm to Families program has been extended for another month. The mission will continue to receive the prepackaged boxes to be handed out weekly through the month of August. Last week, the mission handed out over 1,600 boxes of food to families in need and another 2,000 to local agencies. Now, these boxes are all free for those families. Any leftover food will be donated to local agencies and churches. Well, good news, baseball fans, the boys of summer will play ball. Major League Baseball and the Players Association finally resolved their differences and agreed to a 60-game season yesterday. Now, players will report to camps in their team's home cities on July 1st. The regular season is scheduled to begin on July 24th. There's no indication on whether fans will be allowed in stadiums at any point or how players will address social distancing guidelines. Well, a Bakersfield boxer punched his way to a big victory last night in Las Vegas. Miguel Contreras took on Rolando Vargas at the MGM Grand in a matchup that aired on ESPN. The two went the distance 6 rounds, with Contreras taking the win by unanimous decision in the junior welterweight division. This is the 22-year-old Contreras' 11th career win.